All right. Hello, Queer Burners folks. Welcome to our monthly board meeting. Let me go ahead and get the agenda up on the screen here. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at it? Okay. I just want to get everybody on mute. Who's this? Who's joined us on the phone?
That's JP. I just fixed it. My apologies.
Oh, no problem. I'm going to mute you though for now, okay? I think you hit #6 to unmute if you need to. All right. So just for information purposes, just when we do votes, if everybody would vote with either thumbs up that you're on board, thumbs down if you're not, we can discuss this further because we do consensus voting. If you do need more information, it's also, there's little thumbs ups and thumbs down that work on the video too. If you want to use that, that's also acceptable. And don't hesitate to speak up if you do want to add to the conversation. Matt is taking notes right now. And I do want to point out, because we are consensus based, if we are in a sticking point, we'll revisit it later on if we need to, or we can discuss it further. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting? If you haven't, okay, thank you.
Just
if we're
you can pull them up and just quickly look at them. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, I can do that. Can everybody see? So just briefly, we did have a sort of a shortened meeting in our agenda last week because we had the minimum number of people we needed to do some business. Anything that was tabled, I've transferred over to the new agenda. I'm assuming everybody got a chance to see it. Are we okay to go ahead and approve the minutes for the last meeting? Go ahead, symbolize with your hand. All voting members? Yeah. Okay. All right. Right. So we'll go ahead and roll into some information here. We're going to roll into the treasurer report, please. Nick, that's you.
Yep, I apologize. I was just searching to unmute myself. Basically, we attempted to sign up with a credit union that we thought was good, but unfortunately we were unable to make it. And also thanks to JP stepping up and agreeing to take over as treasurer, I'm afraid that at this meeting, I must announce that my role as interim treasurer is coming to a close, and I hereby resign as the treasurer of the organization, and urge all of you to give your full support to JP assuming the treasurer role. We all knew this was going to, I hope we all knew that my time here was, how did you put it, Toaster?
Your time
that my days here were numbered from the beginning. And I'm actually I'm really thrilled for the opportunity to have assisted as, and I will see the organization through to their 501c3 status, but I encourage all of you to give JP your full support. And from here on out, JP is hopefully.
Did we lose you, Nick?
I think so. We lost his video first and now the audio.
Well, he resigned first, so.
he's out. He's like,
yeah, you're dead. Yeah, okay. All right, so then that kind of takes us to our next item of business, is the nomination of JP to treasurer for Queer Burners. We've got a lot of people on here, so it might take a couple minutes to click the vote, so bear with me. So all those in favor of JP's nomination to treasurer, please symbolize with your thumb up or down. Okay, counting heads here real quick. All right, perfect. Thank you, everyone. That's unanimous. Oh, and Nick is back.
I don't know what happened. I apologize, but I'm assuming that JP was successfully appointed as treasurer.
JP is successfully appointed as treasurer. All right. Are you going to hang out, Nick, or?
I'm happy to hang out for a little bit if you have any other questions. I'm actually curious to see Nexus's report, but I might jump out after that if that's okay.
No, that's fine. Whatever works for you. All right. JP, do you have anything to add as far as the banking is concerned? Because you've been working on that a little bit.
Yeah, so just at a high level, I've been working on a list to kind of to look at some different banks that we could potentially go with. So looking at things like ensuring diversity or ESG, so like governance and things like that. So created a list. I'm working on making sure I can fill out the rest of it. I think there was a little. There was a quick turn line because we wanted to make sure we had a bank right away, but I think we kind of have to wait until we get the designation because a lot of the money and other things that we could get through donation cannot come through until that happens. So I hope to have a list maybe in the next couple of weeks, and then I can share it with everybody, and we can kind of take a look at it and say, here's some ones that we are interested in versus not. And I'm also including bigger banks just so we can have a good sense of what those could offer versus what the local ones have and why we would probably want to go with the local one. But if anybody has any recommendations or thoughts, please send my way because I can be happy to include them if they're not already there.
All right. And that you are also, and I'm not sure if you said it, I'm not sure if I heard it or not, but you are kind of keeping in mind some of the concerns that we addressed to you as far as social responsibility and.
Yeah. Sorry, ESG is shortened for, social responsibility. So things we looked at is local, likely credit union, if they were POC owned and operated, if they had, higher scores or at least had higher proponents of LGBT issues. So those are things that I'm kind of putting together and hopefully in a spreadsheet that makes sense to most of everybody. And you can kind of take a look and see what some have versus others, and then we can make a decision based on that.
I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Can I ask a question on that?
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, so if I understood correctly, are we going to wait for the letter from the IRS before doing our banking?
That was my understanding. That was my understanding, but it might be misunderstood. So I don't know, Nick, is that something that you could comment on?
I would recommend not waiting for that, especially since I mean, if the bank that we really want requires it, fine. But I think we should be able to, and every bank has slightly different rules and regulations, but just with our California registration, we should be able to sign up for a corporate account at any point. However, there is one donation that's hanging out there that we won't be able to get until we get that letter. So that, I don't know if that answers that question.
Yeah, and I'd like to speak up because I'd really like to see banking resolved as soon as possible.
That was a misunderstanding on my part. I'll make that a priority.
Thank you, sir. We'll touch base with you again through the Discord and keep us updated if you would. All right, are we ready to move on to the next subject? All right, I'd like to introduce everybody to Ruth. Ruth came to us approaching about her interest in involvement with the board. Some of us met her in a brief meeting online. We talked about some of the assets, and I'll let her talk in just a moment. But there's some really good ways that Ruth can kind of come and bring her expertise to us. Ruth, do you want to introduce yourself just briefly, please? We can't hear you. No, we're not hearing you. I'm gonna keep talking and then you talk when you're ready, okay? One of the things that she initially came to us to talk about was um, being part of the co-chair position, but we're not really carved in stone on a lot of our roles. And just given the scope of what we're trying to do, the board can expand and contract as needed with different levels of expertise that bring to the table, and hopefully will lead to some of the required board positions. I'm asking Ruth to help organize us and be a voice on the board because we need diversity on the board, and I think that's one step to getting there. All right. Not. Are you okay? Maybe catching up another time then. Stay with me though. Don't go anywhere. So I would like to propose Ruth be added to the board as a voting officer. She'll be supporting the clerk for now and helping us organize all of our G Suite information and rolling forward, possibly even taking over that clerk position at some time in the not so distant future. All those in favor, symbolize with your hand.
I'm sorry, did I'm for it, but I didn't see like a resume or anything about Ruth. Is that stuff in a folder somewhere?
No, we did have a couple meetings to try and meet with her and get familiar with her background. Do you think that we need?
No, I'm fine. I'm just wondering if there's stuff that I can review just so I can catch up.
Oh,
Mhm.
we did record a meeting with Ruth and posted it in the Discord. If you want to take a review it, it's in the.
Great. Okay, I think, you know what? I think I need to get into that Discord is probably the problem here.
I'll send you the link, Sarah.
Thank
I'll send it to you right now.
All right. Anyone else have a question before I continue? So I would like to nominate Ruth as a voting member of the board, working in a position that supports the clerk for now, and possibly moving up into that position in the future. All those in favor, symbolize with your thumb up. Hold on, I'm just checking all the screens real quick. All right. Thank you, everyone. That's unanimous. I appreciate that. Welcome to the board of Queer Burners, Ruth, if you can hear us. Yay.
So in chat, she said she's going to jump on the phone. Yeah.
Okay. So that's going to take us into our next group of subjects. We're going to talk committee reports. Nexus?
Yeah, so I did not schedule a meeting last month. I think I just turned it into a self-care month. So thank you in advance for understanding, but I'm going to send out a doodle tonight, actually after the meeting, to schedule a meeting this month, sometime between tonight and our next board meeting. So just punting to this month. Whoever can make it, that'd be great. We'll try to outline what I think next steps could be for EDI, as well as get any input and feedback for that as well. DEI, we're calling it, sorry. I'm going to go back and forth between the two acronyms.
What was the two acronyms?
EDI or DEI?
Am I saying EDI wrong, or I keep hearing EDI?
Oh no, it's not a thing. And now Burning Man's doing the radical inclusion diversity. They're calling it RIDE. So that's a thing. So we could also incorporate that just so anyway, we could talk about this at the meeting. We don't need to figure it out now.
Okay. And I would like to really emphasize to all members of the board and other members within the community that I personally feel this is one of the most important subjects that is the foundation for what we're starting here today. And I'm not trying to put too much on Nexus's shoulders with that. It's kind of a statement. I know that sounds kind of, maybe that's too much, but I feel that we all need to be very aware of this subject and ground ourselves with our community as a whole. Anyone have any comments on that? All right, I'm going to move on to events. Starduster.
Thank you. Not a whole lot to report. We had a meeting last week, Scott and I did, to talk about event-related stuff. I don't know if you have any updates, Scott, on that, but regarding Saratoga Springs, if you heard from them, but we're basically still in a holding pattern, waiting to hear from the greater community, when we can move forward. Probably thinking that it'd be best to get a date in mind with a venue in mind that we can move towards concretely, in the hopes that everything's going to be a go ahead, tentatively looking at the end of July. But again, that's not set in stone because we don't have a venue yet. But that would be our near-term goal, is to establish that as an availability, and then move towards making it happen, with the understanding that it's still a fluid situation. So all that's kind of on hold right now, or at least very fluid. And I think that's all really. There are a couple other events that we might be part of, but nothing concrete. Do you have anything to add to that, Scott?
I do, actually. I had a phone call with Carrie right before the meeting started today, and got a list of dates that could work for us for 2020. We will not get Memorial Day weekend back because there's a new group that's owning that. But when we're ready to talk about that a little bit more in detail after we've gone through the events team, I think there's, we're starting to see some, some tread on the road. All right.
I don't know if anyone heard the news. There was a doctor out of Johns Hopkins who was predicting that we might achieve herd immunity by the end of April, which is good news. Something to keep in mind.
Well, I got my shot today. Oh yeah. Let's see. So, we're being very cautious and doing a lot.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, hello, Ruth.
Yay!
I'll get back to you in just a moment.
So I've got
okay?
it updated
Can I
on
get
my
back to you in
computer.
just a moment, Ruth? Ruth,
Yeah, go for it.
give me a moment, please. So just staying within the course of the events stuff right now is, Curtin and I are, being very thoughtful as far as what COVID and the effects on the community at all. So we did put out a little bit of a statement, just saying that we're trying to be mindful because we don't really know what the future is going to be like. And if anybody wants to see what was put out there, it was done on Facebook and I think Twitter, but that was it. Let's see, there was I think that's everything. There's an action item on here, but I think that's old news. So we can go ahead and remove that then. All right. So I'm going to jump in with you, Ruth, after we're done with the committee reports. Okay. Okay. Thank you. The next item is me on recruitment. Well, we've already resolved that today. So we did, Nick took us to a very important point. He's still with us in a way, but JP came in at a perfect time, and we really appreciate that. Having Ruth here and having Ruth's voice from what I've talked to her so far, and you guys should check out the video if you haven't already, but she's bringing something really special to what we're doing here. And thank you for being here, Ruth. And then let's get into the communications team.
So we met Sunday. Did we meet last? When did we meet last?
A week ago.
Week ago Sunday. Lots of, so I think probably 4 of us, 5 of us were in on that meeting. I think the website continues to evolve. And I think Joel sort of as the primary person working on that has, been tweaking it. We've sort of integrated the component that could be called, and I think this is one of the things we need to decide, whether it's called forum or blog or news or newsletter. But that would be the component of the website that would allow the board to make notices and sort of distribute information. So that's there. It's still, I guess, in a beta format right now. And if you go to the Queer Burners site, it says it's called Forum. And it's the first sort of button you can choose. So that's sort of something we're working on, and sort of, I guess, working the bugs out of. And then I think other than that, I just say that a lot of the work that we've been doing is sort of behind the scenes and trying to get the website sort of polished and ready to make the announcement that it's sort of all in place. So that would be my summary.
Thank you. And then Joel's not here, but the Google has been kind of set up, but we're having some issues trying to transfer the files out of my name over to the info@QueerBurners account, but we're still working on that. There was then on the next subject, there was a post on the Queer Burners Facebook page asking about trans people involved with Queer Burners. We ran into some miscommunications on that, but nothing bad. But it's a matter of a challenge for us to do better in that area. And, we're working on that still. There is a lot of cis white people on this board, but not a lot of diversity yet. And we're gonna develop that organically as we move forward. And if you do need to speak up, just please put your hand out, and I'm happy to let anyone else take the platform too. And I can't see everyone, so you're gonna have to speak up, just as FYI. And then on the last item in communications team, social media, Nexus is gonna start steering the ship a little bit more on that one. We're gonna talk about it, the communications team, but he stepped up a couple meetings ago and said, I'm going to start working on a plan, and he's starting on that. It's gonna take a little bit of time, but we're gonna dive into that a little bit more at the next communications meeting. But when it comes to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and other channels, he'll be taking more of a stronger role on that subject. Does anyone else have anything for communications?
I just want to sort of, since this is a board meeting, this would be an opportunity to get opinions on what the blog/newsletter/news/forum tab gets called. We just need to sort of then Joel can make that. I mean, nothing's permanent, but at least he could get, he just picked forum. And my thought was that, I guess I didn't feel like that got someone's attention to look at it the way news would, or updates, or something that would be clear that if you're looking for what's up, that's where you would go.
Can I interject a little bit that, I'm sorry, I realize there's something going on in chat and I can't focus on that. So someone interrupt me if they need to. But I feel that the discussion is not really done on that subject yet with the communications team. I don't know if we're at that level. Do you think we could table that for now until the communication team has it a little bit more what's the word I want to use? Fettered out or figured out. I don't feel that we're still kind of in a beta, I think, with that. Would you disagree or agree on that?
I think in terms of picking a name, it'd just be interesting to hear people's, I mean, we don't have to pick it today, but I guess I would just be curious, since all the board is here and will need to would be the group that makes the decision, just to get some thoughts, and it would help us brainstorm further.
I would co-sign, especially with what Sarah put in the chat. I think if we could take at least a few minutes to just like be able to talk and provide some thoughts and reactions and feelings on what different things mean to us, if it could help them to make a decision, it seems like it might be good.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I can't see the chat from where I'm at. So
Sarah wrote, I don't know what that word means exactly or what I would expect to find there. I think that's referencing forum. Yeah, and I resonate with that as well. I'm not saying it's the wrong word either. I'm not sure that news okay, let me actually just kick it off. I don't think seeing news would make me expect what I would find there, if that's a thing. So for me, I don't think news is a word that resonates for me.
okay. I see Kurt with his hands up.
Yeah, is this the same portion where people, visitors to our website have a chance to comment on, things, engage in conversation, dialogue, etc.? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think just one thing from history with Facebook, I don't see it, again, with over 3,000 members to Queer Burners on Facebook, the dialogue that happens there is pretty minimal. So and that forum for me implied this sort of like exchange of information. And I feel that at least for the start, it will be the spot where the board makes announcements, and that people can comment on that. But I think it just, in my opinion, would seem optimistic to think that it's going to be this exchange of information. I think it's really primarily one direction from the board to general public, and people will comment and we can, respond to comments. So it's
Announcements is a good term, actually. I like that when you just said that. Announcements is pretty direct and understandable. We had participation previously, is that right? Wasn't that participate or something like that?
I think that was another idea that came up. Personally, I thought that might turn people off because they would feel like they were committing to something.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, announcements is probably the most direct category that, at least for the time being, that I think those things would fall, like what we're putting out would fall under. So yeah, news is an overstatement, because it's like there's not that much necessarily that's going to be coming up. So
I like announcements, and I would like to maybe have some sort of invitation for people to comment so that it's understood that it's an open forum, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But announcement sounds good to me.
Okay. I mean, I think that's good for us to then, as the communications team, sort of unless anyone else has some thoughts,
So we're taking this as feedback and not a decision right now. So does anyone else have any feedback or discussion on this subject?
I just wanted to, I sort of second what most people have said. When I hear the word forum, I think that it's going to be like a message board with, like a back and forth. And so if it is more of announcements, it seems like announcements works well, but maybe at some point it might need to transition. Or as announcements, and then it has a really clear short explanation that makes clear that you can comment and interact and engage in a dialogue. But
thank you, Ruth. Anything else, anyone? All right, well, thank you for the feedback, everyone. The communications team will be meeting next Sunday, and you're more than welcome to participate in that conversation as it continues there. Before I jump into the next subject, I want to take a step back and I want to give everybody a chance to meet Ruth.
Hi, everyone. I'm glad it works now. However, I have some tech issues. I mostly use Google Meet, so Zoom is actually a bit of a new space for me. And I think I had declined to connect at all to audio. But anyway, I'm Ruth. If you've watched the video, then you already know a bit about me. If you haven't seen that conversation, then I'm from Australia, live in the North Bay area, have been in the East Bay or North Bay for 3 or 4 years now, and am a kindergarten teacher that does a lot of equity work in my district. So that is me in a very short nutshell. So I'm really interested in the DEI work that we're going to be doing and all of that. So Nexus, you will hear from me. But yeah, if you have any questions for me, go for it. But I also don't want to monopolize our time. This is quite an agenda.
Yeah, we have a lot going on today. At the same time, I'd also like to give JP a chance to speak up a little bit and introduce himself to anyone who hasn't met him. JP, would you mind?
Yeah, so thank you, Scott. And then I think the one person I really haven't met yet is Ruth. So Ruth, mostly directed at you. So I live in the Bay. I'm a career burner. I've been burning for 4 years, and I usually go with Wink and our can Tickled Mink. I was excited about this opportunity because in talking to Wink and Scott and others, it sounds like a lot of the things that I do in my real life, I can apply to you guys. So I manage large engagements with big projects and timelines and deadlines and money and everything like that. And so I thought it was a natural fit to continue my way to give back to the community and also apply what I know and what I can do in a good way. So I've moved here to the Bay Area 6 years ago, 5.5 years ago. I've lived in New York, DC, and then I grew up in New Mexico. So been all over the country and I like to travel. So if anybody wants to talk about travel stories, I'll be happy to do that with you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for introducing.
Go ahead. Ruth, did you have something you want to say?
Oh, I was just thanking him for introducing himself to me.
I'd like to go ahead and talk about some new committees that I'd like to propose. Not long ago, we met with Sarah to talk about budgeting and stuff like that. We started down that road, but we haven't continued that conversation. And I'd like to take this chance to formalize a actual committee for finance and budget planning. And with JP and Sarah at the helm of that, basically we need to be able to have a budget for queer burners. We need to be able to be prepared to do budgeting for all of us and other events that we might be doing in the future, and establishing, what's required for that. So that's a big conversation, but I'm gonna ask if for voting on that. So to officially form a committee on finance and budget, helmed by JP and Sarah. You can symbolize with your thumbs up, thumbs down. Nexus, Ruth. Ruth, I can't see you. I see thumbs up. Sarah, are you good? Okay. The only person I haven't seen is Ruth. Are you? Yep. Okay. So we're everybody voted approval on that. All right. So the next proposal is to officially form a committee on archiving and documentation under the clerk. YouTube videos, Zoom videos, Google Docs. I'd like to propose the formation of that committee on archiving and documentation under the clerk, helmed by Ruth. All in favor? Looks like it's unanimous. Thank you very much. So though the archiving and purging stuff is kind of, this was the scope before Ruth kind of came in the picture. This was tabled from the last meeting, just so you guys kind of get an idea of, I guess we should have talked about this before, but just getting rid of the junk. We've got a few meetings that we absolutely have to and should keep. One of the ones that I really think we should keep is the pre-formation meeting. Nick actually really liked that one a lot and wanted to possibly use it in some of his, and we talked about him being able to use that when he talks to other groups to get an idea on doing the right thing. So that's just where some of that's coming from. We've developed so many different things over the last year of working on this project. It's just time to clean it up. Anybody have any comments or suggestions about that? All right. The next subject is the calendar. So now that we're moving everything over to info@QueerBurners, that calendar should be the primary calendar. So if you guys could please add that to your Google calendars, assuming you're using Google Calendar, so we can stay up to date on what's going on. If you do schedule a committee meeting, please set it up there, and make sure other people that need specific notification are notified of that as well. Okay. Wow, did I get through this whole thing? Holy
Scott, just to clarify, when you said primary, it will be our only calendar, right?
Yes, you're absolutely correct. Thank you for correcting what I said. I know things get confusing with more than one resource, and we're trying not to do that. All right, well, that's actually the agenda, and I really thought this was going to take a lot longer.
So I do have something, we don't need to talk about it this time around, but one thing to consider is if Queer Burners wants to have a presence in the digital spaces that are going to be connected to Burning Man this year, and what that might look like, or if there's even any interest in it whatsoever, because it's a thing that's going to happen, regardless of if the playa is officially a thing or not.
Well, you're talking about BRCVR or something like that, right?
Yeah, there's going to be several different spaces, like 5 different spaces where you can interact.
Is that like in BCR VR or?
Yeah, so BRCVR, Sparkleverse, and then 3 other platforms that were there from last year. I think that announcement is going to be coming up very soon, if it's not out yet. So just to, maybe it's part of what is an event. I don't know if it goes into events or community outreach or what, but if we want to consider having a presence in those spaces, the ones I'm the most connected to are BRCVR and Sparkleverse. And
when you
I'm happy to help us get connected there.
Are you talking about like us being a theme camp within that universe, or how do you?
I mean, there are many options. I think maybe one of the things that we can do is for BRCVR, I could, we could get on a Zoom and I could show you, I could like give you a tour and kind of get a better understanding of what it is and what that means. With Sparkleverse, I can show you like a slide deck that we used for the support service team to kind of understand what Sparkleverse is like, and what it means to have a theme camp there. But there's a range. So maybe it's that you want to do a talk or something, and you can just get partnered with like Celestial Bodies, a camp that is already going to be heavily involved in both of those places. It might be that, we want to do like one day of a bunch of stuff, and we build out a little camp to have those events happen. it might be, I don't know, it might be that we ask for an hour at Center Camp at BRCVR to do a thing there. Like there's a million different possibilities up to like, we don't want to be involved at all. So, I guess it's kind of like a conversation between like what our mission is, what we're trying, what our goals are in the next year or in the next 6 months. Basically there's an opportunity 6 months from now to be able to connect with the community. And so we're going to have at least electronically, if not in person. So we just might want to consider how, if we want to use those platforms to do that. Mhm.
Okay. If you want to get like people together, and I mean, do you want to offer beyond the board or into the community, or?
Yeah, it would be into the community. Do you want to stop share so you can see people? Kurt has his hand up.
Okay. Hold on. I mean, all we have to do is if someone wants to speak, just call out. That's fine. Kurt?
So I think it's a great opportunity for us at the very least to have a presence and to advertise, our camp directory, for example, and our All of Us event. It'd be great just to be able to put that out there in front of people. What do you think it involves in terms of preparation from us? What sort of effort would it require?
I mean, it depends how involved we want to be. So if we want to be involved in Sparkleverse, which is Zoom based, like they have a map and you click on a map and you go to things. If we have the list of like Zoom events that we're going to have, then I can easily put up something that resembles an air quotes camp and and put the listing up. That's no problem. To have a cuter camp, we would need, we need folks who are better with design to like design a cute little thing but just people click on it and you jump into a Zoom room. It's not that deep. With BRCVR, there's different levels of how involved you want to get. So if you want to create your own world or your own camp, then there's going to be a toolkit that comes out and people can use the toolkit. We might be able, maybe there's someone in our community that's already a world builder and they can build something. Otherwise, we can use a template that BRCVR will give that's like a generic kind of camp. And then we can judge like a generic kind of basic camp out.
Is this for Labor Day weekend, like that weekend when things are going to be happening? I understand there are other events that sort of happen periodically and people gather in those platforms, but it's not a consistent thing. What you're thinking in terms of when it would happen?
Yeah, it's my understanding it'll be that weekend.
Okay.
And there are ongoing events in those other platforms as well, but I'm more kind of thinking about that particular week.
Okay. Maybe we
Right,
could
so
go ahead.
yeah, well, that's weird though. If Burning Man is actually going to happen this year, if big if, why would they do the virtual events on the same weekend?
I think they're just hedging their bets.
Okay.
So because
Understood.
they're not gonna, they have to make the decision so late in the game.
And I think part of it is thinking that even if it does happen, it's going to be like at a much lesser capacity than it's been. So there are going to be enough people that aren't going to go either because they're not comfortable or just because they can't. So,
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have any discussion on this subject?
kind of related, but not. So I don't know if I should just put it out there.
Go for it.
So curious, how many people are on Burning Man Hive? Okay, Nick is, yeah, no, just Sarah mentioning kind of like the learning thing. I think it'd be interesting to look at. It's supposed to be like an online like learning platform for the community, and I think it'd be pretty neat to think about some queer burner offerings for kind of online courses, whether that's a virtual course that people can go through by themselves, whether we want to do panel discussions or whatever. I think anything around kind of like unpacking like cishet normativity to be more inclusive of queer burners could be really great. So, you know, it's if you're not on it yet, you'll probably be hearing about it soon. I think they were planning on kind of like doing a more public announcement this month. So that could be a really great opportunity to provide some like resources and thought leadership for our community too.
Can someone put a link for that on the Discord?
I
And
don't know that it's public. I don't know that it's a public. You have to have an invite, and I'm not sure that we can invite you.
that's fine.
So just keep an eye out. We'll keep you updated.
I appreciate that. I don't need another platform to jump into.
I think it's letting me log in, so.
Well, and it is connected to your burner profile, so it might
Yeah.
be, they might have gotten it. So now if you want to, it'll just automatically let you if you have a burner profile. I don't know.
It's labeled beta, but it looks like I got in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Okay, so this subject, I do have one other thing I want to kind of tag in. Well, a couple things real quick. One, like if you're, I want people to feel empowered. Seriously, like, I don't have to schedule all the meetings, and, you know, if you've got, you know, a committee or something like that, just, you know, grab the baton and start running, and let people you know, get involved and help participate along the way. So I encourage you guys just to kind of, you know, take the lead as you need to. If I'm being too bossy and trying to drive, it's just because I'm like that kid that's had too much soda and candy, and I'm excited with the toy, you know, so. Thank you for laughing. And then another subject is Wink and I have been slowly working on a policies and procedure guide that we have yet to present to the board, but it's just creating structure. So when we do approach certain subjects like communications or, you know, running an event, or, you know, on what level we run an event, or how we handle money or stuff like that. It's just a general guide that we're working on that's in the folders. It's a document still just kind of growing. Is it in the folders for can everybody see it, or? I mean, the old one is there, but we got the new one going and it's much cleaner.
I think it's just in the project team. I'd have to look and see where it is, actually.
Well, we'll talk about it later on. We'll get a link into the Discord for everyone to take a look when we get a chance. And you can add, you know, if you have some feelings about something and want to add to it, then just do it in the mode where you can make suggestions, and that'll be helpful. It's growing. And just be a foundation document at some point for if you have a question, then you have a reference point. All right.
Yeah, that being said, Scott, when we talked a little a while back, I think we talked about how I helped out a lot at the Trevor Project and policies and procedures. So let me see if I can pull up examples of what I did there, and at least share with you guys to make sure, you know, to see what other you know, nonprofits are doing.
Yeah, and any feedback and then help with that as well, because it's a lot of writing, it's a lot of thinking, and it's got to encompass, you know, just some basic framework for what our standards are. And did we lose Ruth? Are you still here, Ruth? Oh, maybe we lost her. Sorry. And you know, behavior, community behavior, our behavior, stuff like that. This is all stuff that I think should be in there. It's just, you know, so we're 1000% transparent on our standards, and how we move forward. All right. Unless anybody's got anything else, I'd like to go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you for making that long agenda easy to get through. I appreciate everyone, right? Holla. All right. Everyone. Party, right? All right, everyone. Thank you for your time. If you do want to get, yes.
Oh, I just realized that this coming weekend, Celestial Bodies is having their monthly event called Accelerant. And that would be probably a good way to check out the kind of what the digital burn kind of stuff is like. There's like 8 different ways that you can connect to Accelerant. You can watch on their Facebook, on YouTube, on Altspace, and on a bunch of different platforms. So I'll send everybody the information on that, and you can register if you're interested.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. And everyone have a good night. And thank you, Nick, for being treasurer for as long as you were. And we look forward to working our way through this 501c3 with you.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. And then JP will follow up on the financing stuff too. All right. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Night.
Thanks.